Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec, and this week I'm joining the Punched Out Thursday collaboration. This group shares ideas every Thursday on what to do with your punches, so I'm going to put links to all the other participants below. Ronnie, Kathy, and Krista are very talented, so be sure to check them out. I'm going to be doing a layout process video, and I'm going to be using paper from Fancy Pants, and I'm going to be decorating with oval and circle punches. I did very little preparation in advance. All I did was mat that photo there. Actually, there are two photos. And this foundation page, the white, should be trimmed down to 11 3/4 inch by 11 3/4 inch. I'm showing you the paper. That comes from two different Fancy Pants collections. I end up not using that red and white polka dot. I have a handful of cardstock and a basket full of punches. Mostly what I use are circles and ovals, but I do use one other punch. And I'll list everything I use in the information box below. Now what I'm going to do is prepare a mini foundation page, basically where I'm going to be putting a cluster on top of that white paper. So I trimmed down that wood paper to 10 inches by 10 inches, and I'm going to be making a layered photo mat here. So I'm trimming down this gingham paper. All measurements are on the screen. I'd also like to point out those two photos, which are 5 by 3.5 each, can be replaced by one vertical 5 by 7. Then once I finish that, I'm going to cut down this black paper. Now the measurements I am putting on the screen are for the final project. For example, this black paper here, I'm cutting it a bit larger at this point, but it ends up getting trimmed down throughout the process. I'm also going to tear the bottom of this. So I'm using a tearing tool by Creative Memories. Obviously, you can just do that by hand as well. And what I'll do now is adhere these photo mats together. Actually, I adhere the gingham to the photo cluster, and then I'm going to adhere this block down on the page of the wood grain paper, but I'm going to keep the photo separate at the time right now, simply because I'm going to play around a bit with placement of decorations. So what I'm going to do now is punch out a whole bunch of ovals. So I have 3 different oval punches, a large, a medium, and a small. I am putting the measurements for what I am using here, but honestly, the exact size really isn't important. What you need is just, something in and around those sizes. So in the larger ones, I cut out 7, the medium ones 9, and the small ones 5. And now I'm coming in with 3 circle punches, and for each one, I'm cutting out 2 circles. So basically what I'm creating here are going to be these kind of funky daisies, basically. So I'm showing you exactly what I punched out on the screen, and I'm taking this bubble maker punch from Creative Memories that I've had forever, and for the 2 larger flowers, for the centers, I'm cutting out a few little circles. Now obviously you could just use a handheld hole punch for that. You could use enamel dots, Nuvo drops, or you can just leave it plain. But that's why I have 2 circles there. I layered up the paper underneath, and you can see the color peeking out from underneath. I'm doing the same thing with that larger flower that's going to go on the bottom. I'm playing around with placement, but in a moment, before starting that smaller flower, I'm going to start adhering everything to the page, because at this point I've got too many little pieces all over the place and it's hard for me to continue. So I finally commit with this photo mat and I adhere it to the wooden block, and now I am simply adhering the flowers to the page. Now as you can see, the petals on the top are kind of spilling over the white cardstock, and that's okay. I will trim it afterwards. So I continue around here, and this is quite sped up because I'm doing it exactly how I had placed it before. But when I do that smaller one, I'll slow down a little bit, because the smaller one I'm going to want to pop up with foam adhesive. So I take the middle of that and I'm just running it through this sticker maker that I've had forever and honestly never used. But basically I wanted adhesive on that circle so that I could easily adhere the petals to the middle, and then once that's down, I'm simply going to take the smaller piece and adhere it to the middle on top, just to cover up where I had, you know, adhered all those little petals. And now I'm popping it up on foam adhesive. Once that's down, actually before talking about that, as you can see, I'm putting it in the trimmer and cutting off those petals, and I'm doing it before adding this flower with foam adhesive, because when you add foam adhesive, it just makes it a little bit more difficult to do it straight. Obviously, I could have done it with scissors too, and that would have been easy as well. Now, this is a really old trimmer from Creative Memories. It was like a wavy trimmer, and I honestly forgot I even had it. But what I did was I cut myself a few wavy strands, and those are going to be stems for the flowers. You'll see I end up only using one, but at this point, I wasn't sure. I had 3 flowers on the page, so I thought I might want to use 3. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'll be doing it again in a minute. I created some leaves there. So what I did was I punched out an oval, then I took the oval with my hand and re-slipped it back into the oval punch just to create that leaf shape. Like I said, I'm going to be doing it in a minute. I also end up doing it with circle punches, and honestly, the result is the same. There I go, additioning different size circles. I end up with the bigger ones. Anyway, like I said, I did it with ovals. I'm doing it now with circles, and if I were to do it again, I would only do it with circles. It was just easier. I had more to hang on to re-slip it back into the punch. So as you can see, I'm putting leaves around the 3 flowers, and I'm happy with that. And it's at this point that I decide I want to put a black frame around my page. Honestly, at the beginning, the measurements I put were for what the final page was, but at the beginning, I didn't think I was going to put a frame around it, so I end up putting a frame around it, and sometime off camera, I ended up simply trimming down the cardstock. As you can see, I'm putting a title down. Those letters are from Simple Stories. They are actually a new set of letters, and I'm liking that. And there I go with the frame. I thought, like I said at the beginning, I was going to go without a frame, but if you watch my channel, you know I often put a frame around my pages, and it just didn't feel right. This felt more finished. Now what you're going to see me do is ruin my page. I come out with these Nuvo drops, and I decide to put dots everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Basically, I turn this page polka dot. I don't know what I'm thinking. This is a fairly new product for me, so I guess you can chalk it up to inexperience. Anyway, I don't like it. So at the end, you're going to see there are no polka dots. I just have a few around the wood grain paper. So I did lift up that entire cluster and replaced that white cardstock. I just put too many down. And as you can see, I also did my writing, and it has that chalkboard look. By the way, these photos are from a restaurant in Jamaica. Actually, it's a fancy restaurant in Jamaica. And anyway, so that white on black had that menu look about it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is really a fun, kind of funky way to create flowers with very basic shapes. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to Scrapbooking Quebec if you haven't already. Also, be sure to check out the other participants. Their links are listed below. Have a great day, and I'll be back in 2 weeks for Punched Out Thursday. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.